Hey Dale, first of all, next time you take video, please shoot closer because we would see your body movements way more easily. This kind of range, I mean, if you could obtain this kind of view without all this background, would be much easier. We could be more precise and see more things. So next time, just make the effort. From my experience, shooting 3 steps away is plenty enough. Okay, so last time we talked a lot about your club face and how it should be more shut because you were fanning the club way open on the takeaway, and from the top of the swing, the club was so open you had no chance to develop the right movements. That's a bit better, but you're still fanning the club open on the takeaway. I'll get to that later. On this view, I will just try to show you how you are kind of using the left hip as the axis of rotation for your hip turn and making your left hip pivot around this axis. Actually, it should be quite the opposite, at least on the first part of the takeaway. You should try and have this hip as the axis and have this hip rotating around it. This would help gaining depth in the backswing instead of losing some. Because as you can see on the takeaway and on the backswing, you are losing depth. The body is going this way. It's also, I think, a way to counterbalance arms going very deep. So weight, inertia, whatever is going this way, so you're kind of counterbalancing going on your toes. This sets up a whole different way to manage your equilibrium on the downswing. So that should be top priority in my opinion. I'll give you a few tips to the other things that throw you off balance and impede your ability to develop the right moves in transition is the way you turn your shoulders on the takeaway. If you look here, your shoulders are very level. The muscles that you're using are the pec minor, which is attached here from there and gets the arm up. The other thing, you cannot see the club face clearly, but it's still opening, which tells me there is no pronation of these two bones in the forearm. They should be pronating and keeping the face closed, rotating in this direction. Sorry, I'm a terrible drawer. Anyway, this tells me that the biceps, which is here, is supinating your forearms. This is not the way to go because that's totally different set of muscles that are engaged. From this position, which is already deep, you are just going to lift the club up and lift it over your shoulders. This is aggravating the shoulder levelness, I should say. This tells us that your spine is, well, it's not in a left lateral bend because of this trunk balance issue. That tells me it's not left lateral bend. The level shoulders tell me it's not left lateral bend, and typically I'll get to the front view and show you something else. on this second part of the backswing, you can see that your arms are lifted up and kind of over your shoulders, giving a lot of inertia this way. And if you take a look at your head, at the end of the takeaway, it has a movement towards the target, and the spine is kind of going from there to there. I mean, there's a tilt towards the target from your spine. This is telling me that you have too much thoracic spine extension. This kind of part of your spine is curving that way. This is typically associated with right lateral bend, so you're definitely using both, and I'll get to the consequence of it. Both this excessive thoracic spine extension and right lateral bend, both those things stretch a lot the left ab. It is stretched and will want to contract on the downswing, and this impedes the way your spine can behave. See, these muscles over here are completely stretched and want to contract on the downswing. This makes, well, to create lag, you kind of need a pelvis, something here that's going counterclockwise, and this part of the body going clockwise. Because these left abs are really stretched, they want to contract, and they will create a whole upper body going counterclockwise, which is completely anti-lag. And as you can see, you're kind of getting the club way up here, and there is no separation between upper and lower body, because it's not possible. This left ab glues everything together. It also impedes the right lateral bend. It also impedes the ability to keep lumbar lordosis, so that's really a no-no in the golf swing. And the way you set up your backswing, and especially the end of the downswing, you're stretching this ab so incredibly hard that it wants to fire. And if you do not fix the backswing, this stretch shorten cycle will want to get it in the way, and I mean, you have to fix it. I could go over a ton of other consequences and show you why you don't have right lateral bend, why you do not have, as you can see, this shoulder is really in abduction. While it's not a bad move per se, there are amounts that people can overcome. This is way too much. If we had a top view, we would see kind of the left arm going behind the right clavicle. This is too much. The arms need to be somewhat in front, and from there, this is too much, and there is a movement we call adduction, ADD, going this elbow going to the center of the body. This is not happening for you. Here your right elbow is stuck, and there is also your forearm is kind of winning in arm wrestling, so this tells me this shoulder is rotating internal rotation, which is also anti-lag action. So the elbow move gets you to a position where you cannot avoid the flip, since your rotation is not incredible because of a lack of end lumbar lordosis and lack of right lateral bend, your pelvis is not providing enough rotation, so you're really not in a good position to have a better release. So now let's get to what you can do, because I think we covered a lot of consequences, and you don't need to know all that. You need to know what to do now. Okay, so the things you could do. Of course, we could say that you could try to load the right heel, but maybe that's already something you are trying to do. To be honest, the right lateral bend and the thoracic spine extension are two things that will make your pelvis go that way. So we need to, of course, have an idea of loading the right heel, but you really need to work on the left lateral bend. So to develop sound left lateral bend, you have to change the way your scapula behaves, because right now the scapula is going towards the spine, horizontally towards the spine, which is scapular retraction, and this sets up a stretch shorten cycle to go into protraction like this, the shoulder being pushed here in transition. Rotation, internal rotation happens when this is associated, so you need to change these scapular movements. What you can do is trying to move the right shoulder up, and trying to move the left shoulder down. So it will look like kind of this intention, having the right scapula going up like this, and meanwhile you could try to have the left scapula, the left shoulder going down. This would completely alter the way you turn your shoulders, and you'll end up with much more tilt. And to help building something coherent for your brain, the associated movement would be to pronate the forearms, close the face with your forearms. So this is a focus number one. You can switch between focuses and see what happens on camera and what manner gives you the best results. But the other thing you could try and do is stretching the right ribs. So this part of your body, instead of having it curved that way, because that would be right lateral bend, try to have it bowed, kind of like this. And while this might help you develop left lateral bend, the thing that people tend to do when they try to have steep shoulders is letting themselves completely fall down towards the ball. You already have a knee that comes a lot towards the ball, so this is a dangerous situation for you. So try to have these ribs bowed, kind of like you will feel stretch, and try to have this bowed appearance move back, like kind of like this. And this will also help, of course, loading the right heel. This might also help with this right hip axis problem. So left lateral bend is priority number one for me. With left lateral bend, there is a very high possibility that your hands won't be able to go as deep, so maybe you'll end up here, which will solve this kind of abduction problem. And I hope it will help you unstretch this left arm so it doesn't want to fire, and you will be able to develop more correct moves on the downswing. The thoracic spine extension, I think going left lateral bend on the backswing won't give you this ability to throw the club away and up and over your shoulders, creating this inertia, the source of the thoracic spine extension. I'm pretty sure the left lateral bend won't allow that. So maybe work on left lateral bend first and see if things is wiping away. Okay, I'll show you on Bubba, just to give you a visual, because all of this is can be pretty nasty. Okay, so here's Boba as a righty. I'm going to draw his trunk balance. First, look how his right shoulder goes kind of in this fashion, and the left goes down. I'm going to do it a few times. As you can see in the takeaway, he already developed very steep shoulders, and that's very obvious on his swing. Also notice that the club face is shut, very shut, which tells us that the two bones of the forearms, it happens on both sides, but they're rotating to close the club face. He also has a very strong grip, so that plays a role too, to have a shut club face. Anyway, I'll just redraw once again the trunk balance, sorry, here. So we talked about the scaps going this way for the right, this way for the left. The other thing that you can notice, the camera is not stationary, sorry, so I'll use this driver because this one is stationary, I think. Yeah, okay, it's more stationary, it's not perfect, but you'll get the idea here. Okay, so as you can see, most of his trunk now has gone backwards. This part of his torso is bowed. I'm pretty sure he can feel stretch here, and as you can see, he didn't fall down with the whole trunk trying to create steep shoulders. It just has steep shoulders because of the spine curved that way and because of the right scapular movements. That's pretty much it. The whole downswing, really, for now, there's no point me bothering you about the sacrum moving away and everything. You have time for that. Just fix the backswing first, and let us know if you have questions, of course, and make sure to post follow-ups.